questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told JC, Nate and Rich that good times are coming, no need for deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch along to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South stay flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yo, big up everyone. Hope you're well. Back with another review of Football Dreams. And this is episode 5, which had a predominant focus on the under 15s. Now, I'm just going to put it out there. Neve's doing a madness in the back because always when we get started. And also, my Wi-Fi is moving nuts too. So apologies, obviously, if there's it's out of sync and all sorts. But hey, listen, we're here to give you the review, and that's the most important thing. JC, how you doing, my guy?
Yeah, man, all good. With a no football, I've been roped into having a Marvel day. So it's not so bad of a substitute, but it's still not football.
Yeah, obviously, and once again, rest in peace to Queen Elizabeth, and obviously Charles is king. And football this weekend has been postponed, which actually has brought a lot of not controversy, but divided opinions and stuff, which is understandable. Some say let's continue and celebrate her life. Others were like, nah, it's best to postpone.
Yeah, because I did see some people saying that instead of them playing the Premier League anthem when the players are walking out, if the whole stadium's bellowing the national anthem, that would be pretty iconic, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely, and such. And I guess when you think about most of the fans that are across the UK, maybe they might not get the opportunity to get down to pay their respects. So maybe football could have been their way of doing so and such. So
yeah, 100%.
But either way, I'm sure the nation is obviously paying their respects in their own personal way. Episode 5. Honestly, it's weird me saying this because I feel like every episode we've watched has been brilliant.
Oh, but yeah.
It feels like it's building up to something. It's going to...
Next week is the 18s because you saw Teo in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I was thinking...
I was like, yo! So obviously it's built up in the sense of okay, now here's where you go and here's your access to the first thing, which is just incredible.
I think Nate said that at the start, didn't he? He said that there's a reason why we're starting so low, because if we start at the 23s and the 18s, you're going to lose interest by the end of it.
Absolutely.
They've scheduled it very well.
They really have done. And also even with the kind of dynamics of families and stuff, the way they've portrayed that as well has been really, really interesting. It was nice to hear from David Lee. He was like, I've been watching, and he's a Man United fan. He's like, I've been watching your documentary. So interesting. I was like, it really is.
I've heard from people at work who are West Ham fans, Spurs fans, Arsenal fans. They're all thinking, well, we're sort of all in London, so I guess our academy kids are going through the exact same thing that you guys.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear opinions from fans that aren't Palace fans, and they're saying that they're enjoying it as well.
Yeah, and it's nice to get that insight because you forget how young they are and to be potentially told, yeah, you're not cutting it with us.
Oh, 100%.
It's mad. It's mad. But let's get into it. 3 players from the under 15s. They're all centre backs. So the focus are all centre backs. So yeah, let's start with Pete. Now, he obviously came into introduced into this episode as a defender who, you could tell the coaches liked him. If we were to say he was probably of the 3, the one with the biggest prospects from what we were hearing at the start of the documentary.
Yeah, he was the captain last year, very promising talent, as every coach was saying. But he had an unfortunate injury, which he was recovering from.
Yeah, and it's even for him, he was sitting there, when he was talking to his dad, it's just there's nothing I can do about this. He literally just had to wait patiently on the road to recovery, and fair play to him. His attitude to his training, when he was recovering, everything about him screamed a leader and winner, and he was so determined to give his absolute everything, you know. But obviously on like say the mental side of it, he was worried. It's like, wow, this could actually mess up my future, you know. And it's so easy to forget. Not only do you have the pressures to try and remain in a professional setup, but then if you do get an injury and someone else steps in, and we're just talk about one of the other players, you'd be thinking, oh, that could be it for me, you know, which could obviously have a massive impact on performance and such. Let's talk about the game against QPR, because he's come back from injury and he's been thrown right back into the starting 11.
100%.
What's your thoughts on obviously his performance and crucially that one incident in that game?
I think because in this documentary they focus very little on the actual footballing side of the academy. So when the game was happening, you saw very little of the actual football being played. But I think what I do see is everyone's giving him encouragement. He must be playing well if he's getting that kind of encouragement, because the coach is saying, "Well done, you're doing great," this, that. But it gets to that point where you're getting comfortable, you're getting confident, and maybe you get a little bit too confident for your own good and try and do something a bit too smart. And unfortunately, you pay the worst price you can. You can see the goal, and as a centre back, that is probably the hardest mistake that you could make, because if you're a centre back, if you make one mistake, most likely it's going to be in the back of the net, because goalkeepers are good, but we know that if a striker's got a clean shot on goal, it's most likely going in the net. I think it's a bit harsh for him to be thrown straight in. We don't know if that was just his first game and they just went straight in, or if he's had a couple of warm-up games. But, I think even though the whole thing was bad, I think it's good that he was so... I wouldn't say it's good that he was hard on himself, but I think that because of how hard he was on himself, like there was sort of that mental click that went in his head, like, yeah, I need to properly fix up, because I can't be making mistakes like that, because, as you said, he's looking into the future. And I think it's good to see that he's already got that state of mind as a 15-year-old. I think that I never had that when I was 15. So I think that it's all growing, isn't it? The coach has said it's not going to be easy. You need to have some downfalls. You need to make mistakes. The only way to learn, you make mistakes, you learn from it. You don't do it again.
No, absolutely. And I think also what was so telling with that particular mistake is that he walked off and you could see his head was down immediately.
And I think getting subbed off straight away didn't help much either.
That was so key, because normally you hear coaches say, you know what, let's see if they can play through it basically and stuff, and see if they can then correct it and then make a decision from there. He was subbed off at half time. Subbed off at half time. So he must be thinking, oh my days. Hold on, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure the QPR equalizer was literally before half time as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think they score. I think the number 7 scored a nice free kick, and then they conceded, and then I think literally as he was picking the ball out of the net, the ref blew up for halftime. So the change must have happened during the half. So that must have been a killer for him. But as you said, there's 3 people going for 2 spots, and there's always a replacement to come in, and everyone at a football academy is going to be talented. You're not going to be there if you're not. And unfortunately, if you make a mistake, someone else is going to jump on that opportunity.
100%. And I mean, we'll talk more about his halftime replacement when we talk about that particular player and such, who did well. Who did well. I guess, as you said, you kind of need that sort of like learning curve. Yeah. Because from that moment onwards, I tell you what, he didn't put a foot wrong.
No.
Didn't put a foot wrong. Preston training, started games. He played, he started against Arsenal. And to think, obviously, Arsenal, academy-wise, are probably one of the best out there.
Oh, yeah.
Just churning out talent and stuff. And that clean sheet, 4-0 win, and he was just kind of like growing from strength to strength, you know. And I believe at the end of it, I think he was able to go up a year group, you know, which is obviously good, and more exposure, more experience for him as well, which is very key.
Yeah, they showed that at the end, right at the end of the episode when they were doing a big roundup, that they're showing that he, at the end of the season, he was the key. I think I can't remember if they said it again, but I think they said he was captain again, and he was starting almost every game again. And listen, he had that hill, and he overcame it, and he did what he needed to do. I think that the other important thing about the under 15s that Parish said actually is that there is no release at the end of the under 15s. Sort of, they get those 2 years, 15 and 16, because everyone develops at different rates. And you saw it when they were doing their training. Like, you saw the centre backs were all nearly 6 foot, and some of the midfielders were like comparatively, because I'm not the tallest guy in the world. Like, they were like my height, but then there's these kids that are 6 foot plus. So you need to give them that extra year so they can grow properly.
Yeah,
and I think that the growth part leads perfectly into our next player.
Yeah, absolutely. And just obviously knowing that, like, you have to somehow manage that development and stuff, you know, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Kamal is that next player. Now, his background is crazy. Like, the stuff he has to contend with on a day-to-day basis, just outside of football.
Yeah, with how calm he is and how he just puts everything behind him when he gets to training or when he gets on the pitch. It's just incredible.
It is, you know, and you can sense that he's using all his pain just growing up to kind of fuel him going forward, and that's credit to his grandma. So just to bring a bit of context, unfortunately for him and his younger brother, they were screaming out for him to be put in care. Social services were heavily involved because they felt like the mother was not fit for purpose, and fit to keep him. So his grandma, who sounded like as if she was French, and please correct me if I'm wrong, sounded like French origin, ended up taking both boys on board, you know, and she was like, I don't want to, but I think she was like anything in the age bracket, like I say 60, 70-ish, could be wrong. But the fact that she's taken them on board was testament to her as a person, you know. But literally from the jump, they mentioned his growth spurt. Literally off the back, you know, he started off really well, very agile and stuff. And
one of the best players last season. That.
And then he came back and he just grew. And all of a sudden, his coordination was off, his agility was just off in the space of, you'll take a couple months break, isn't it? Like about 2 month break.
Yeah, I think it's, well, to be fair, growing that much in 2 months, mate. The grandma must be so annoyed. Think about all the trips to Primark to go get new clothes. That's nuts.
Even the amount of food he might end up having to consume as well.
Yeah, you're a big guy now. Grandma's thinking, I gotta make more. Literally. Come on, man.
He went from 5'8" to 6 foot. He's grown 4 inches.
That's nuts.
That's mad.
That's nuts. 4. Nah. Like you said, because the coach was saying, if you grow anything more than 10 centimeters, is mad. And he said, you grew 12. What is that?
It's crazy. Like, boy. Like I said, it's funny how like they literally showed the basic skill sets of like even just controlling and passing it. It just, his body movement and stuff was all awkward. His running style changed. Everything about his game changed. What was your thoughts on him?
I think it's for everyone. Like, I think even though I had a bit of a growth spurt when I was younger, but I didn't really have a growth spurt, if that really makes sense. But I still felt like when I was doing my, like, when I used to do karate and stuff, my my punches weren't hitting the right spots, my kicks were looking dodgy. Like, you got to learn how to use your body again because it's completely different again. Like, you go from 5 foot to 5'3". Like, it's still mad. Like, when it comes to doing stuff so technical, because with football, as we know, if your foot's positioned slightly wrong, the ball's not passing to where you want it to go. And he had to relearn everything in a very short space because he knew he was under pressure by other centre backs, which also played at the team at the same time.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty of it all. It's like, yes, the coaches were very patient, and obviously they identified it and wanted to work with him. But in his head, he's thinking, I need to be the best I can be because there's competition. Like, obviously Pete's come back now, and Pete was the guy. So to obviously hear about like his growth spurt, kind of giving the issue and stuff, he's thinking, oh no. But credit to the coaches once again. I see there's a theme with these coaches. They've identified something and they've dealt with it very quickly.
Yeah, because they pulled him in for a chat, like a one-on-one conversation with him to tell him, like, look, you're doing good. You can handle your body now. It's just you need to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that all centre-backs need. They need to be a bit, I wouldn't say mental in the head, but I say they need a bit of fire about them.
Yeah.
Because I always thought that Mark was a very calm, collected guy. But against Newcastle, when he was getting fouled, mate, he was proper arguing with the ref, going mad at other players, saying you should have tracked him, thinking, well, every centre-back needs that mentality. They need to be aggressive. They need to get the ball, and because if they don't, they're conceding goals, and it's on them.
100%. Just let's have a look through some of his games. Like, even before that, sorry. Just to go back to Grandma. Like, so they still see Mum. They still see Mum from time to time. Grandma's very encouraging. She's been sensational. You know, absolutely incredible. And she's even identified that like that Kamal has to work harder because of the competition that's there. You know, but obviously healthy competition makes better players, which I think they all made each other better.
Oh yeah,
effectively. You know,
it's a good headache for the manager to have, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you got three guys pushing each other, and all three of them are only going to get better. It's just unfortunate that one of them is going to have to sit out all the time, and that's really the hardest part. Choosing that starting 11 is probably the hardest part of his whole job.
Yeah, 100%. So basically, like he started on the bench versus QPR, and like we said, Pete had started, you know, and then Kamal came on at half time,
kept a clean sheet,
and he got stuck in.
Yeah,
he got stuck in. So from having that moment was like he kept hearing from the coaches, "Come on, why are you going there? Come on, why are you running there? Come on, why have you dropped so deep? Come on, to more like, come on, well done, superb, excellent." Like he was just so much more confident and he was better.
I think one thing I really like about the coaches as well, it's probably all coaches, but we only seen the Palace coach, but I'm really happy with the amount of positive reinforcement that the kids are given, because that must increase your mental so much, just hearing that what I've just done is good, and when I've done something wrong, I know it's not good, so I can sort of get it in my head that I need to do this more and that less.
Yeah, 100%, and it's interesting because obviously, right, so Pete's made the mistake. Kamal's come on, played very well against QPR. Then it's Arsenal.
And then they smashed them up. What was it
4-0?
4-0. And Kamal kept a clean sheet.
Not in this game.
Oh, was it 4? No, he did.
He didn't come on.
Oh, yeah, it was Pete, wasn't it? Pete had a nice one.
Yeah, he had a blinder.
Yeah.
Kamal didn't come. So after the moment, like, he's come on and done well. And we're not saying that Pete should have been dropped because of that mistake. Not at all.
Well, yeah, it's obviously training and stuff like that.
Other aspects have taken its effect. And Kamal didn't come on at all. And you think, actually, it's 4-0 and I can't see any minutes.
No.
You know, it's that in itself is just like, oh man. And it showed in the documentary, because even his grandma was saying, like, he feels down, like he just wants to play football, and that's all he could think about is, am I going to play again? Why am I not getting minutes? Like, which was obviously demoralizing and such.
Well, it's good to see that it didn't affect him, because on the bench, if it was me, I would have sat there sulking. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
But cool, calm, collected, and then in the game afterwards, where he got his chance at a very unexpected time, he took it very well.
Yeah, and that was where obviously the coaches said that he's too nice. He said, listen, you're a lively guy, but on the pitch you're too nice. He needs to develop that aggression, and boy was he aggressive.
Oh yeah,
he was like
beast,
literally grappling onto the centre forwards, like shrugging him off and stuff, putting firm challenges in.
Oh, 100%.
And obviously, like, he had to come off the bench due to unfortunate circumstances. Leon, who we're going to discuss in a minute, kind of like rolled his ankle, from a challenge. But Kamal came on and he did very well. And it's just refreshing to see that we've got 3 different under 15 defenders who are all doing well.
Yeah, it was a point made by Parrish, because he said that we're making good fullbacks, but we've never made a good centre back, and that's sort of one of the points where he would like to focus on. I think something also that just came to my head that reminded me of with his grandma was that I think one of the coaches in the previous episode said that the kids that thrive the most come from the parents that don't push the kids at all. And I think that the grandma was very good at that. She just said, I know you want to do it, so you have to prove to yourself that you want to do it, instead of trying to like force her own ideas onto that child.
Yeah,
and
it was such a
like it's working as well.
Yeah, it was such a contrast to obviously
Previous
episode
episodes.
4. Yeah, especially like because previous episodes, but especially episode 4, where it was like 2 of the 3 parents were like,
yeah.
So it's a massive contrast. Now, fair play to grandma. She's doing a lot, and
grandma smashed it.
Yeah, she's doing a great job and such. Lastly, Leon. Now, let's talk about the footballing side quickly. Baller. Then we got to talk about the outside of football stuff. Now, this guy's quality.
Yeah, I think so. He's a 14-year-old playing upper year, and he's already the starting centre back for the 15s. I think that's all you have to say. He's big, strong. He's got a footballing brain on him.
Yeah.
Knows how to use his head, and isn't afraid to dribble forwards with the ball. So, from a young centre back, what else do you really need?
Yeah, composure, everything. He got his extension a year early. He could be probably. Obviously, this was shot last season, so I won't be surprised if he's involved in the 16s this year.
Probably is.
He had a quality game against AFC Wimbledon, and that's one of the games that Kamal struggled in. So he's kind of been the mainstay regarding the centre backs, where Kamal and Pete have obviously alternated from time to time. His mum you can see she wants the best for him. We're gonna delve into whether what she's doing is a positive or a negative, because you can easily see both sides. And I guess the last bit regarding him playing wise is he obviously picked up that injury in the exhibition match in Sellers Park, and then that's where Kamal came on and was very aggressive. But all in all, quality player. Mum. Now, this is very interesting. Obviously, he's 14 years old. 14 years old at the time, sorry. And Mum deemed it important to get an agent for him. Now, from what I know of agents, they either work wonders or they can kill your career. Because you have agents out there that are in it for the money and themselves. And there's also agents out there that will break their back for their clients and stuff. What's your thoughts on mum getting an agent for him? Can't hear you. I think you've turned your mic off. I'll share my views while JC sorts his mic out. What I'll do is I'll give you a thumbs up if I can hear you. So, so obviously, for me personally, I just feel like I feel personally, my personal opinion, I feel it's just too early. I think it's too early. I feel like it brings about additional pressure. And this is my personal opinion. It's not me. Once again, disclaimers. Not criticizing anything that Leon's mum's done. Obviously, she clearly cares. You can tell she cares for her boy and what's the best for him. But for me personally, I just feel like it just adds a bit of pressure because you're now no longer just playing, number one, to enjoy the game and represent the club, but now you're also playing representing your agent, and obviously the agent's role is to, one, find the best environment for you, to obviously do the best to hope that you're playing regularly, three, and endorse you, as best as possible, and whether that's at the club you're at or move you on to other clubs. So she's gone out of the way thinking, I need an agent. I think he needs to be under the best guidance and representation, and maybe she couldn't offer that. I guess obviously like I said, the main talking point, the main question is it too young? Is it too young? So yeah, she's gone out and she's held like multiple meetings with different companies, and obviously they're gonna all say that they're the best thing since sliced bread, and she was just trying to discern, okay, is this the right person? Did what they said here, is that best for him and such? Leon went to the first meeting. I can't remember the company's name, the agency's name, but it was with two guys. And even Leon himself was just like, could I get sponsorship from it? And I think that was because he'd seen other players, I think from the 16s. They've been sponsored, and I think that then had
come back.
You're good. I think that set off a light bulb in mum's head, thinking, actually, I'm out here running around trying to get agents, but am I now making my son become a product, sort of thing? So it's just finding that balance, and it's not easy. I mean, I don't know if he eventually did get an agent at the end. It wasn't said, but obviously that's the journey that his mum thought was best for him at this time. So, JC.
Yeah, I'd forgive me if I say the exact same thing that you've probably just said, but I think that you just start with the mum thinking, is it too early to try and think of an agent? And before she even started looking, she said, I know my son's going to be a product, but I don't want him to be. So in my personal opinion, and I'm not trying to tell anyone how to parent their kids or do his career, but I would probably wait until he's 18, breaking into the under 18s, 21s, and then maybe looking into the first team, or maybe looking at a loan outside into a professional team. I think when you start playing pro compared to playing youth football is probably about the time where I think that aspect of football comes into it. But she definitely wants the best for her son, but I don't think an agent is the best thing for a 14-year-old. I think he had his head screwed on when he said he wanted to get a sponsorship, but is that not a bit sad that that's one of the first things he's thinking about rather than his actual playing career? That's something that I picked up on when we were watching that first interview. He was asking about him getting sponsorships rather than him moving into playing football at a higher level, where I feel like that's what an agent should be doing rather than trying to make you more money.
And even with what you said there, like mum immediately was like, oh yeah, because he's seen like some of the players above him that's got it, or they're older than him for starters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
older players And I think when you start getting into your late teens, early 20s, that's the point when you need that income as alongside the football. But I think at that young age, you just need to be focusing on the football itself, getting as best as you possibly can. Because if you think about it, the better you get now, the easier it's going to get later on. Because if you do the hard work now and not think about the money or this or that, then you're gonna. If he's as good as he is now and he keeps developing, what's stopping him from like playing like being the starting centre back for the 23s and doing what Jacob Bryan's done? He's had an incredible season at Swindon, and now he's in Belgium at Molenbeek, having a very good season so far already.
Scored a
And
decent goal recently as well.
it's a hell of a bicycle kick, wasn't it? The celebration was good as well.
Yeah.
And like he should look up to people like Jacob O'Brien and Raksaki, who's doing it in professional clubs in other countries, like experience in all of this. And then after they've had, and then let's say they have a very successful season, they'll come back and Vieira will be like, oh, maybe we don't need another left winger to back up Zaha. We've got Raksaki. Why do we need to spend 30 million on a backup?
Yeah.
And then, like, let's say we keep Mark and Anderson. Oh, look, Leon's doing good. Why don't we throw him in next to Anderson next game? You never know. It's Carabao Cup. You're getting your first experience, and that's just going through the ranks. I feel like you should aspire to be like people who have been there and done it, rather than trying to aspire to be like Van Dijk, where you're the best in the world, you're making millions.
Absolutely. Last one on Mum, and as we've both said, myself and JC, we're not here to tell people how to.
Yeah, Mum definitely wants the best for her son.
Yes, we definitely agree with that. There was one part that struck up to me in that initial meeting as well, because I think Mum was most vocal with that one. Maybe because it was the first one. But I remember like one of the agents had asked Leon a question. Leon had answered it briefly, like you could tell he's in the process of like extending it, and Mum jumped in to add more to it, sort of thing. For me, that was like, yeah, you could tell that she's nervous and she really wants to just put him out there and stuff in the best light possible, you know. Because she probably has never had experience with this ever.
Well, yeah, because she said that that was her first interview with an agent, and she said the more and more that she went to, the more and more confused she actually got, which I thought was quite interesting as well. So maybe she was having some sort of doubt in her mind, thinking, "Is this actually the right thing to do for my son at this point?"
Yeah, because what I was saying before you jump back in, like these agents are always going to say what's going to attract the client, you know.
Oh yeah,
and they're all going to say different things. So she's been, I think it was 4 different agencies, I believe, maybe 3, that she engaged with in the episode. She probably asked the same questions to all of them. They've all come up with different answers. You know? So she's thinking, huh? Shouldn't there be like a set guideline for all of these?
Yeah, I think the interview that most struck out to me was, I think, the first and the last one, because the first one to me seemed a bit more like asking him, "What do you want?" And then he said what he wanted. It's like, okay, well, we can do this for you. But the last one, they were saying, yeah, we're like with Michael Jordan, with LeBron, they're making 7 figures a year. I'm thinking about those guys, in my opinion, money. They don't care.
Money. Yeah.
So I think that's something that, as an outsider looking in, that's what I picked up on.
Yeah, and funny enough, the first and the last agencies were the ones they focused on quite a bit. The one I believe it was a restaurant. I didn't get to hear much.
They just said their hellos, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think Leon was there. I think that was just Mum, you know.
Just Mum, yeah. But there wasn't much conversation. I think Leon only attended the first one, I think.
No, I think he was in the last one as well, because his eyes were lighting up when he saw 7 figures. This is that. But mate, my eyes would light up if I saw 7 figures.
I was probably too busy taking notes on my phone, like, oh, and I probably missed that. But yeah, listen, Mum obviously wants the best. I might even Google it, like Leon Palace Academy. Does he have an agent? I don't know. We don't know if obviously Mum's gone through with it. But yeah, that covers all three players, three centre backs. Very interesting, you know.
Yeah.
All playing in the same team. Obviously, they all want the best for each other, but they all understand this is a dog-eat-dog world, and especially when you move into the 16s, because from 18 you want to be given that scholar, like that pro contract.
Yeah, you have to get that pro contract, because I think if you don't, you get released. I think that's just it is what it is at that point. And I think being released at 18 is a lot harder than being released at 14, 15. Because at 18 you're thinking, oh, I've only got. I think a good player these days breaks into the first team 21, 22 years old, and you've only got 4 years left. You've got to get your grind on at that 100%. Point.
100%. I can't wait for next week's one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing the one after that will probably be the 23s.
How many are there in total?
I don't know. I don't know actually. If there is only 6, then they might do 18/21s next week.
So obviously, features our very own Teo, which looking forward to that and stuff. So yeah, guys, as per usual, thank you for tuning in to this review. If you haven't seen the rest of them, they will be in the end card. So just click on that, and you'll be able to see those as well. And
there's probably a playlist as well, right?
Yeah. So I'll put the playlist as the end card and whatnot. And apart from that, obviously there's going to be no Premier League football for 3 to 4 weeks. So we will do our best to obviously upload a variety of content for the meantime. Please be patient with us.
I'm going to do an episode of Lone Watch next week.
Nice.
So we can review their first month of being out on loan.
Yeah.
Because we have got some interesting stuff about someone we've already talked about in this episode, who's featuring in the next one. That's going to be interesting.
Very interesting and stuff. So, we'll keep the content rolling out. But until then, guys, continue to like, share, subscribe as per usual. I'm Rich, JC.
Up the Palace.
Palace.